Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master.
I can tell you what was probably going through my mind. I sure do wish that Shinobi 3 was Sonic 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 had been delayed until 1994. I would be lying to you guys if I told you that I wasn't extremely disappointed that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was not lying underneath my Aunt Michelle's tree.
Boys, I got terrible news for you.
But first, a word about this video's sponsor, Factor. Growing up in the 90s, Christmas time was always a season for giving, goodwill toward men, and good cooking in the kitchen.
How is it, Tyler? Good?
Ah, yes. Nothing quite like those holiday meals cooked fresh by the best chefs in the family. Thanks to Factor, we can still have ourselves a merry little Christmas dinner, even if the family isn't around. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals fit perfectly into my already extremely busy holiday schedule. It's amazing to me that meals of this quality came straight from their oven to my door. Every fresh, never-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or vegan and veggie. This time around, I asked for Chef's Choice, and Factor sent me this delicious Indian-style butter chicken. Megan absolutely loved it. Thanks, Factor, for helping us try new things. And Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50RetroLife to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50RetroLife at factor75.com and get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring today's video.
Whose presents are these?
Bridget, all these presents were games for me.
Yeah, all for Atari.
When I look back at this footage of Christmas 1993 with my family up in New York, I get filled with all sorts of emotions. So many warm, fuzzy feelings of Christmas time, celebrating with family, and opening up some of the greatest Christmas gifts I ever received in my life.
Sunset Riders?
Sunset Riders!
Yeah!
That Christmas was an amazing one for me and my cousins. We opened up so many of the greatest games of a generation.
Game Boy!
Final Fantasy Legend 3.
You wanted that, didn't you?
Whoa!
It was just such an amazing time to be alive and to be a kid. And in these days, specifically 1993, Sonic the Hedgehog was on top of the world.
Frankly, selling 4.5 million units worldwide is even better than our wildest dreams.
It looks like Sega outdid themselves with Sonic 2.
As you might remember, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had been released on November 24th, 1992, or Sonic Tuesday. That was really close to Christmas, so naturally, we kind of felt like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was in the works and would be ready for Christmas 1993.
Okay. Sonic Spinball!
What is it?
Sonic Spinball!
Get the whole thing over.
Is that from us? Who's that from?
Mommy and Baba.
Mommy and Baba. Open it before you say.
Wait a second. That's not Sonic 3. That's Sonic Spinball. Where was Sonic 3?
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 actually had a very troubled development cycle. I mean, the making of this game seemed plagued with problems from day one and throughout the development cycle. But Sega's heart was in the right place. They wanted this to be an amazing experience for all the Sonic fans out there. I mean, they even got one of the biggest Sonic fans one of the most famous Sonic fans, to do the music for the game. I'm talking about Michael Jackson. That's right, Michael Jackson composed a lot of the music in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the original version of the game. But of course, Michael Jackson, during the development cycle and while he was still composing the music for this game, ran into all of those legal troubles. Sega had to distance themselves from MJ. As these problems continued to mount for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, one of the biggest and most glaring issues that Sega had was perhaps their own ambition. That's right, Sonic the Hedgehog 3's developers, they really wanted to make the best Sonic game possible. And in order to do this, they needed more time. It became clear that they were not going to be able to meet the Christmas 1993 deadline. They weren't going to make the holidays. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 would have to be delayed. My dad, who also was a gamer and loved video games, he was keeping up to speed with what was happening with our favorite blue hedgehog. Before Christmas 1993 arrived, Dad learned that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 had been delayed and that I wasn't going to be getting it that year. Somewhere deep down, I know he knew that I was going to be extremely disappointed because I was all about Sonic the Hedgehog back in these days, especially 1993. But Sega had one more trick up their sleeve. They knew they had to get a brand new Sonic the Hedgehog game out for Christmas. Not having a brand new Sonic game was not going to cut it. And so, Sega, faster than Sonic the Hedgehog himself, rushed into development a brand new Sonic title that was called Sonic Spinball.
This is what it feels like. It's Sonic, it's pinball, it's new Sonic Spinball. It's faster.
And that brings us back with my cousin Mikey opening up Sonic Spinball on Christmas Eve.
Okay. Sonic Spinball!
What is it?
Sonic
Open it
Spinball!
first. Get the whole thing
Is
open.
that from us? Who's that from?
Mommy and Baba.
Mommy and Baba. Open it before you say what it is.
I shouldn't put ribbon.
I know that when I saw my cousin Mikey open Sonic Spinball, I was hoping that I was going to get it too. Dad had told me about the delay of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I was sorely disappointed, but I knew that there were other games that year that were going to fill the void of this legendary game, this soon-to-be legendary game that I knew was going to take over my entire life, my entire living room, and for all of us kids waiting and hoping for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that year, Christmas 1993, we were just going to have to wait until 1994. But thankfully, my mom and dad did everything they could to make sure my Christmas was still filled with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hurry, Christmas morning. Christmas morning. He did come. Come on, hurry, Tyler.
That Christmas morning, 1993, I woke up to a chair in my Aunt Michelle's living room filled with Sega goodness. Every single brand new Sonic the Hedgehog game that was released that year and for that holiday season was on that chair. Sonic Spinball, the game I had seen my cousin Mikey open up the night before, it was lying there waiting for me to play it. I was so excited. Not only was there Sonic Spinball, there was also Sonic Chaos on the Sega Game Gear, which I, of course, as a Sega fan, had become quite accustomed to around this time of year. And of course, Sonic CD on the Sega CD, the game that 100% filled the void created by the delay of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I didn't realize it at the time, but Sonic CD was everything I could have wanted in a brand new Sonic game. After I started playing the game, I didn't even have to think about Sonic the Hedgehog 3 anymore. That was so 1994. That was a ways away in the future. Right now, I had Sonic CD, and life was good.
Take a picture of that. Why are you taking a picture of me?
Because you're cuter than a hedgehog.
With Sonic CD and these other games, my Christmas went from being one that was almost ruined by the delay of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 into one of the greatest, if not the greatest Christmases of my retro life. Truly a Sonic the Hedgehog Christmas, even without Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
I want Sonic CD.
Sonic what?
Sonic CD.
And here's where the story kind of comes full circle. A couple of days after Christmas and after my cousins and I got all these brand new games, my dad took us to a local Toys R Us near my cousin's house. As we were walking through the Toys R Us, I remember so clearly. I remember turning at one point and we were near the front registers at this Toys R Us. And I remember just being like blindsided by this giant standee, at least to me it looked like a giant standee at my height, of Sonic the Hedgehog. And it wasn't just Sonic the Hedgehog. It was promoting Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That's right, guys. My dad pointed it out. He's like, hey, Tyler, look. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The game that I was hoping for. The one that got away that Christmas. And there it was right before my eyes. Not the game itself, but a promotional standee advertising Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for February 2nd, 1994 release date, Groundhog Day, or as we came to know it, Hedgehog Day. Oh man, I was so excited. It's like Christmas kept continuing. And I remember thinking in that moment, what? It's already here? It's here? We can buy it? And my dad had to explain to me. He had to explain, no, Tyler, we can't. It's not out yet. We can't buy it. They don't have it here at Toys R Us, but we can pre-order it. And that was a completely new concept for me. Pre-ordering a game. That was what it was advertising. It was advertising the pre-order of Sonic 3. And for pre-ordering it, we got the Sonic the Hedgehog CD soundtrack titled Sonic Boom. Eventually, the day came. Just 2 short months later, in February of 1994, we picked up Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at Toys R Us. These were some magical times. I don't know what it was about Sonic the Hedgehog and his games, but that character just lit up my childhood. Like, I loved everything about that character.
Oh, Sonic watch in a game. It's Sonic the Hedgehog.
I can just remember the years 1991 through 1994 being so filled with the love of this Sega mascot. I mean, 1994 would turn out to be one of the biggest years for the Hedgehog. I mean, that's the year we got Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh no, Santa Claus did come. He showed up.
Which was basically Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Part 2. With its brilliant lock-on technology, we were able to get the entire version of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 as the developers had originally planned, going way back to 1993 when the game had to be rushed and it couldn't even make store shelves that Christmas. It had to come out on Groundhog Day.
We wish you a happy Groundhog Day.
What a crazy, wild story this game has.
We think that Sonic 3 should be one of the biggest games, perhaps of all time, on video game platforms.
As my dad always said, good things come to those who wait. And guys, he was right. While it might have been hard, especially when we were kids waiting on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, it was the waiting that gave us the greatest Sonic video game ever made.
Sega Genesis, Sonic and Knuckles and other game cartridges, each sold separately.